So in this first video, we're going to have a look at the introduction to Parliament. And we're going to have a look at what Parliament does, what Parliament is, and then we're going to take a little look at the House of Commons. We're going to go into a little bit more detail on the House of Lords in the next, in the next video, and then we're going to just wrap things up there. Okay, so what is Parliament? Parliament is the supreme legislative body of the United Kingdom. It possesses legislative supremacy and thereby ultimate power over all other political bodies in the UK. The UK Parliament is what we call bicameral. This means it is split into two chambers, or two houses. So we've got the House of Commons and the House of Lords. Many legislative bodies in the world are what we call bicameral. So for example, in America, the US Congress is also bicameral. It has a House of Representatives and a Senate. And it's just generally seen as a separation of powers within a legislative body. So the main functions of Parliament are to enact legislation. So no other body can enact legislation without the consent of Parliament. So when we talk about, we're talking primary legislation at a national level, okay? So that's why we can have Scotland and Northern Ireland they can enact legislation through devolution. However, any person who wants to enact primary legislation of nationwide primary legislation has to get consent of Parliament. They have to sustain the government by choosing it, removing it, and providing it with money by voting for taxation. Okay, they hold the government to account by scrutinising government decisions, and they debate in public matters of public concern. And they also provide a recruiting ground for ministers. So the government, our constitution, because it's uncodified, and our system of government is very interesting in that the government, the executive body, actually sits in Parliament, which is the legislative body. So therefore, Parliament can scrutinise the government very, very closely. The House of Commons is arguably the most powerful house. I say argue, it is the most powerful house of the two, and it is the elected branch of the legislature. It has 650 MPs, which are members of Parliament, who are elected to represent people in their constituency. I believe the constituencies are chosen with around about 70,000 people in them. That's why they're chosen in such a way. So there are more constituencies, for example, in London than there are up in the north, because there are more people concentrated there. The House of Commons is split into half. So on the left, from walking through the doors, on the left the government sits, and on the right sits the opposition. Okay, and it's the role of the opposition to scrutinise the decisions of government. This is done through a number of methods, and we'll look at these number of methods in a later video. Okay. Finally, we're going to take a little look at the Speaker of the House of Commons. So, the Speaker of the House of Commons is what we call presiding officer of the House of Commons. The Speaker presides over House debates, determining which members may speak and which members may not speak. The Speaker is also responsible for maintaining order during debate and may punish members who break the rules of the House. So, they can almost evict them for a day's sitting, and do other things as well. The Speaker is elected from a pool of MPs, so the Speaker is an MP but doesn't get any say in the voting of legislation, nor do they have any kind of political affiliation. They're supposed to be biased. Okay, so this raises a question. The current Speaker of the House of Commons is John Bercow, and he is elected from the Buckingham constituency. However, the people in Buckingham don't have their views represented at Parliament because the Speaker is their MP, and the Speaker can't have any kind of political affiliation or biases. Okay, so it raises the question of how democratic the Speaker can actually be if the people who voted for him don't get any say in any kind of debates. However, John Bercow has been the Speaker for the last 10 years. He is stepping down at the end of October, which will be this month as I release this video, and and so he has had a decade's worth of tenure as Speaker. It'll be very interesting to see who the next Speaker is going to be. So that's really an introduction to the basics of Parliament, what it does, what its function is, and what really the House of Commons is. We're going to look at the House of Lords in a specific video because it's a little bit more interesting. And then we're going to look at how legislation is passed. We're going to look at how the government is scrutinised by Parliament and other functions specifically of Parliament, like so.